Michael Benavente, you're the supervising sound editor for the true crime murder mystery Under the Banner of Heaven. It's an unsettling story with a dark tone. What were some of the ways you used sound to create or enhance that tension that's happening in the story?
Well, one of the first instructions I got from Dustin Lance Black was that Utah doesn't sound like other places. It's Utah quiet was kind of our theme through the whole show. We wanted to be interesting, but we couldn't be too big sound wise. Even though like the police station where Andrew Garfield's character is based had to not be like a traditional active police station. We hear some voices, but there might be just 8 people that work there and half of them are on this case or out. So it was hard because I'm so used to like making things busy, but I had to keep thinking, okay, pull it back a little bit and tell the story in a quiet way. Even in the neighborhoods, you hear kids playing, but not too busy like you might in some other town. So I think we achieved it though. It's still pretty dramatic, even though a lot of the scenes are very quiet.
I can imagine when you're dealing with a sort of quiet, hushed tone, that every individual sound, does that take on a much greater kind of?
Sure, just people. There's a lot of forest scenes because we deal with some fundamentalism. People sort of in cabins and things, and just the footsteps of our detectives walking through the forest. I love that they're there, but that's all you hear. Maybe an occasional bird. We just really had to play up the quiet, and I think that actually added to the tension a lot.
And as you were talking about, that Utah setting does contribute a lot to the show's atmosphere. How did you work with the natural environment? As you said, a lot of scenes in the woods.
Right. Well, there's a lot of insects that we did some research on what we could play, what existed in Utah. As a matter of fact, we had a Mormon consultant who came in and told us we couldn't use a particular bug because it sounded great. Like, I was really disappointed we had to take it out, but his feeling was we wanted it to be as authentic as possible. So don't use anything that doesn't really exist in the world in Utah. That being said, just like Salt Lake City is the big city in Utah, but it's not New York City or Los Angeles. It has a whole different vibe. So we had a construction scene there where we just sort of had to play things down. But I think ultimately it really sold it as a different city that wasn't New York or LA.
And the picture editing on the show, also really contributes to showing us memories, flashbacks, scenes from history. What was the collaboration like with the between the two departments, sound and editing?
We worked well together. I think there are a lot of flashbacks, and some are very quick, like 5 or 6, 7 frames in and out. And Lance was great because he let us try things. We have a lot of sound design. My effects editor, Olivia Zhang, she just went to town, and you never know when I've never worked for Lance before, and just trying the first episode, we were able to try really cool sound design moments just for those flashbacks, which he latched onto, which made me feel really good. He really liked and wanted more. So we wanted to make it scary. The music is very intense in this show. Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam did it, and I think our sound effects really complemented what he did. They just play well together, and you never know if that's going to happen. You don't know what the music's going to sound like when you're thinking about sound as a sound person. And sometimes you get in there and they just conflict, they don't work, and music's always going to win generally. So, but for some reason, our stuff, especially in those flashback moments, just played really well with his music. And I'm really proud of the sound job. And you never know where it's going to go when you start a project, but by the end, and we're mixing the last episode this week. It airs next Thursday, or drops next Thursday. Trying to finish it up, but I think the sound is really working, and I like those moments with the flashbacks. And with picture editorial, they gave us a lot of great input, what they wanted, and the picture editors did some great sound work in the Avid, which served as a great guide for us.
And when you've got flashbacks to this Mormon history that you have on the show that takes place, century or more in the past.
About almost exactly a century.
What were there different considerations that went into those? Is it still sort of the similar kind of Utah quiet?
Well, no, I mean, we had to think about, like, I know Bobby was talking about group ADR. I had to be real specific with group ADR because a lot of times we think in the vernacular of 2022 or whatever we're at, and we had to say, well, would they say that? Would these pioneers talk like that? So I really had to just sort of think about what would work and what wouldn't work. The flashback scenes are great because a lot of them are battle scenes, and so here I'm doing sort of a detective story where I get to have all kinds of gunfire and some bad stuff happening in the past, but it was really fun for sound. So I really enjoyed that part of it, and the juxtaposition between the two worlds.
Was there, any part of the show that proved to be especially challenging to execute from a sound perspective?
Well, there was I don't know if you know it because all of our actors are just so unbelievable. But I'd say 90% of them are English. And so we did have some accent issues, but they knew that going in when they shot. They want to give the actor a chance to give his great performance and not have to worry about accents. And then we come in and we loop a lot of them. And we don't use all the ADR we shot with them. Sam Worthington's Australian, obviously Andrew's English, Daisy's English. So that was a bit of a challenge trying to make the dialogue when we came in and redid some of the accents flow seamlessly with what they shot on the set. We had a lot of dialect coaches who went through the show after it was already edited and gave me notes about things that we should probably change. Most of the actors had dialect coaches in their ADR sessions, which helped them. And the actors were great because they wanted to play people from Utah, which is a whole different thing. A lot of times people want to go a little Southern, but Utah isn't in the South. And so we got it, just working with the actors and cleaning up some of the accent stuff. I think that was sort of the biggest challenge for me.
And was there a particular sequence or episode that you're particularly proud of? It's one of your favorites of the season?
Yeah, I love, and it was something we worked on before I even started on the show. In the third episode, I think it is, the character that Gil Birmingham plays, Detective Taba, he's wandering through the forest, and these fundamentalists have some kind of alarm system when an intruder comes into their space. And when we first started, like I said, before I was even on the show, we started thinking about what would this sound be? It's got to be somewhat organic. It's not an alarm, it's not an electric. So my Foley guys, Randy Wilson up in Toronto, he just did an amazing job coming up with all these pots and pans and cans and things that we could play through the forest as if everybody was trying to say, hey, the law enforcement intruders are here. I love the way it ended up sounding in the mix because it's all around the room. And I actually watched it a couple times on my own home television because I just wanted to hear it again because I think it sounds really cool. So that was, to me, one of the most inventive things we were able to do is this whole alarm system, because we tried different things and this worked the best.
And in addition to working with Dustin Lance Black on the show, David Mackenzie directs the first 2 episodes of the series. So you're really setting the tone with those 2. What was it like working with him?
I didn't really. I mean, I know David, but he wasn't really involved once we got to post. So it was mostly Lance, and Lance was, the showrunner, and Lance's ideas. He pushes you to do your best work. He just, if something isn't quite right, we hear about it, but then we get there, which really makes me feel good that we can, help serve his vision. And I think he was pretty happy with the way the show ultimately sounds.
And you've worked throughout your career in a variety of genres: drama, comedy, action, horror. Is there a particular genre that you feel most excited to work in and to create sound for?
I don't know. I mean, I do have a pretty broad background in a lot of big comedies. With comedies, you don't want the sound or the sound effects to tell the jokes unless they want you to. I mean, let the actors and the writing tell the jokes, and we try to accent that comedy. A drama is different in that, I don't know how to put this. I guess they encourage us to really help tell the story. So we're not fighting jokes, that kind of thing, So, I like it all. And I like the fact that I'm able to work on a lot of different kind of things, from Moneyball to Something About Mary to Howard Stern Private Parts. I've been able to do a lot of different things. And this show was great because it was a true serious drama, but we could still have a lot of fun with the sound.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work on the show, and best of luck on finishing the mix and all the editing for this final episode, and looking forward to seeing and hearing it. Thank you so much for talking.
Thank you so much. Okay, thanks.